Alrighty. Hello everyone. Let's see who's here. Gonna check my YouTube channel. Switch account. My channel, live stream. Here we are. Alrighty. Hello Ivan, hello Haley, hello Thomas, hello KFC Gamer. Alright, so you probably notice I'm wearing a blazer, and that's because I thought, well, you know, I have one. Why not kind of dress up a little bit for this thing? Thank you, Alex. It's not a tuxedo, it's just like a business blazer. So I figured why not, you know, partially at least dress for the occasion. So I'm still getting set up on the tee because I was running late because I actually bought a brand new extension cord for my microphone. I have a lapel mic that goes on the lapels of your clothes, and so I already had one, and so I thought, well, I should just get an extension cable so I can hook it up to my computer, put it on my lapel, and then you guys can hear me better. And the sound would be at better quality. Well, that was a waste of $11 because what ended up happening was that for some reason my recording software did not even know there was a microphone hooked up. And I tried and tried for like 20 minutes straight. Couldn't get it to work. So I don't know what is the problem. I don't know if the problem can be fixed, but yeah, it just doesn't want to work the lapel mic. So there's really nothing I can do about that. Alright, so that's ready. Gotta be really careful with the china here. So for those who are probably new and are barely watching, this is authentic china, and it was used on the Cunard ships way back before 1967. Some of it dates back to the 1940s, 1950s, and so because it's real china, you can't just pour boiling water straight into it. You have to heat them up a little bit. So they've already got really hot tap water in them. Now I'm going to top them off a little bit with a little bit of boiling water just to bring them up even hotter. Oh, jeez, this thing is like... So that'll get them extra hot. Let's see. I'm just going to let them sit for a second before I even put tea in there because you want them to warm up. So you'll notice I don't have the pastries out yet. I put them on the counter so I can set them up while I wait for the tea to brew. So let's see. Hello, Harrison. Charlie says, can we get an outfit of the day twirl? No, because beneath this, I'm not wearing the full thing. It's just the thing. So I'm just wearing like some like boxer shorts, like not boxer shorts, but what do you call them? Like exercising shorts. So yeah. This is just for the show. It's not really for the whole thing. But you can pretend like I'm wearing a full-on suit or something. So let's see. Okay, I'll get to your questions in just a second, because I'm bringing up the temperature of these things. Alright, so this one is good. That's really hot. Alright. The problem with this this kettle is you have to pour really carefully because like it wants to like shoot the water forward instead of just downward. So sometimes I spill the water, and I don't want to spill boiling water on my countertops. That's too much water. Ow. Alright. Tea goes in. Lid goes on for 5 minutes, so 4:12. Okay. I'll move this back a little bit. There was so much I wanted to do to get ready for this tea time. Like, I was going to bring this poster downward a little bit by a few inches, so that way you guys could see more of the table while still being able to see the full poster. I didn't get any of that done. I think I've just been so busy today. Okay, so the next spoon goes here. And then let's set up the pastries. Try not to rip the jacket. This is the Scottish shortbread I made, so I got tired of buying it because it was just too expensive. So I ended up making some of my own. So you only want 2 because they're high in sugar and fat, and frankly, they're only meant to be a treat. They're not meant to be a meal. So you don't want to go too crazy eating too many of these. And that'll last me about 2 weeks total, I think, worth of Scottish shortbread. Alright, so first question was from Ivan. Alex, why did the Spruce Goose only fly once? The Spruce Goose only flew once because, frankly, they didn't need it. Originally, they had commissioned Howard Hughes to build the Spruce Goose for the U.S. military, so that way they could transport cargo and things like tanks and stuff like that across the ocean. By the time he actually was able to develop a really massive plane that could carry that kind of weight, that was made out of cheaper materials like wood, by the time he finished, the war was over. They didn't need it. And so the U.S. government was kind of angry because they said, we gave you millions of dollars to build a plane which you didn't even finish by the end of the war, and we don't even know that this big giant thing can fly. And he said, oh, it can fly. And they said, well, if you can take it taxiing around the harbor, you can make it go back and forth and it runs fast enough, we'll call it good. So he says, okay. So he brings it out onto the water. He's trying to prove everybody that it can move, it can maneuver. He doesn't need to fly it. He just needs to show that it can move quickly, especially on the water. And so he's taxiing it around and around and around the harbor. And finally, on the last taxi, he decides he's going to pull back on the yoke and make the plane fly. And he did. And it flew just for a mile. Total flight time of 26 seconds, and but he did that to prove to the world that it was worthwhile and it could fly. So that's why. It never flew again because frankly, it didn't need to. And it was really, I wouldn't say fragile, but more fragile than a regular plane because it was made entirely of wood and not of steel and stuff like that. So but mostly the answer is just they didn't need it to fly. So he kept it in flight-ready condition for decades until his death. And then after that, the company that owned his company, or I guess the company he owned, I mean to say, decided to get rid of it because it cost too much to keep in maintenance, and it wasn't doing anything. So that's the origins of the Spruce Goose. Let's see here. RG, hey, classing up the day. Yeah, I am. One more minute on that tea. Jennifer says, Alex, good afternoon, Alex. Did you see the message I sent you? I don't think so. If you emailed it to me or if you Facebooked me or something. I don't know. I'll have to check all that after this. I've been really busy all day, to be honest. I haven't even been on my channel at all today because I have a really busy weekend. But RG asks, is it raining? Yes, it's raining. It was raining pretty hard. A few minutes ago, I was actually walking to my sister's apartment to get something, and boy, it just really came down. Haley says, what do you think was the best and worst year in the 1970s? Well, definitely 1973. That was at the height of the what do you call it? The energy crisis. So yeah, 1973 for sure. But that doesn't have anything to do with my channel, though. I think I just knew that because I've just done so much research on other things, and the energy crisis always played a part in almost every story, so that's probably why I knew. I wonder if I can put this last bit of water in this thing. Normally I get up and empty this cup, so... Oh, it fit. Okay. Now I know from now on I don't need to get up and empty that before I put stuff in there. Alright, time to pour the tea. That's really hot. Today is English breakfast tea, in case you're wondering. I have like 2 boxes of English breakfast tea, but only 1 box of Earl Grey and 1 box of Irish breakfast tea, so I do have to lean more heavy on the English breakfast tea to kind of consume them equally. I do 1.5 spoons, little demi-tasse spoons of sugar, so they're not real size spoons. Then I can move this back here. I forgot the cream. Alright, hold on you guys, I gotta get the cream. I can't have English breakfast tea without the cream. I can do Earl Grey without the cream, but not English breakfast tea. So, I'm extremely lactose intolerant, so I try to consume not very much milk or cream, so instead I use oat milk. It's my favorite oat milk. It's just original flavor. And you know what's funny? I don't like any other brand. Silk is the only oat milk I drink. I've tried like half a dozen other brands, and I can't stand them. So, alrighty. Oh, I need to stir this first. When you stir tea, you go back and forth, not around and around. Back and forth is quieter, and it incorporates the sugar much more quickly. Just a traditional British way of doing it. Alrighty. Alright, let's see who's here. Charlie says, I love those sandwiches. Usually I eat them in 1 bite. I can't do that. But it does take me a few bites to eat them. RG says, can we pour it into a non-plastic bowl for better aesthetics? Oh, just the warming water? I mean, I don't have anything big enough to pour that into at the moment. I do have something made of stainless steel, but it wouldn't look nice next to all this. Yeah, I don't have anything big enough that's nice enough to pour the water into, so... let's see... Oh my god, Charlie. Jeez. Jennifer asks, have I found some nice nightlife and clubs to visit? I don't do that. I'm not a club person. I don't go to bars. I don't... This is what I love. I love the peace and quiet and having a nice cup of tea. So, Ivan says, so he spoke in a different language. He says that's Afrikaans for morning, Alex. I'm a big fan of RMS Olympic and your channel. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much. ED says, I think, well, I don't know what language that is, but he says, that means good day, my friend. Enjoy the tea and pastries. Harrison says, are you able to do this full time? Eating tea and pastries? I don't think I could eat tea and pastries full time. Let's Build says, hi, hello, Let's Build. Tyler, yeah, it works on coffee too. Mateo, how you doing? Thank you, I am feeling fancy today. Alright, so... Oh, the Tim Tams are so... I don't have cloth napkins. I wish I did. It's funny because I thought, well, maybe I'll try to collect some actual Queen Mary cloth napkins. Which, there aren't many out there. But the ones that they do have, I'd feel bad about getting them dirty every 2 days and then washing them. I know you can wash them, but garments are different. When they get older, they become more fragile. So I thought, if I can't do that, then I'll just have to wait till someday when I can make my own. Like, maybe I can order, like, a bunch of, like, cloth napkins that have, like, some kind of Queen Mary embroidery or something on it. So that way it kind of fits, It's like recreation of something. So, let's see. First, the Scottish shortbread. It's funny because the recipe on that Scottish shortbread says the longer you keep it, the better it tastes. And it's so true. So true. Alright, so Let's Build says, what's your favorite cruise ship? I don't technically like cruise ships at all, but if I had to pick one, I would probably say Cunard's Queen Victoria or Queen Elizabeth. Queen Elizabeth is pretty nice. I'd probably say Cunard's Queen Elizabeth, the current cruise ship. Hello, Glenn. No problem. I was a bit late today here, too. Harrison says, your YouTube channel, can you do it as your full-time job? This is my full-time job, quite literally. That's why I'm busy all the time, is because it's like if you can imagine those small production companies that make public television, TV shows, like here in the US we have PBS, which is a public television network. So if you can imagine the small little studios that make public television stuff, I pretty much do what all those people do just by myself. And sometimes my videos come out really nice looking, sometimes they come out looking kind of crappy. But that's why I'm so busy. I'm literally doing the work of at least 4 people all by myself. I do the research, I do the writing, I do the narration, I do the editing. So, it's incredible amounts of work. So it is kind of disappointing when I make videos like my monorail video, for instance. By the end of yesterday, it should have had at least 1,000 views. But by the end of yesterday, it only had 300. And so when it gets such small views, I get very little money in return for it. And then I know for months and months and months, it'll probably be a dead video. Like, very little people will watch it. And I don't earn that much money off of it. So it's almost like sometimes I put all this work into a video and then not enough people watch it, and then it's not financially feasible, not financially viable, I mean. So it's just kind of sad that it's like that, So, I don't know if this is like a optical illusion, but I feel like there's a dark spot in this creamer. Is that tea? That is tea. That's weird. I must have dropped some tea in here. Okay. I was worried it was like a bug or something. I was like, there's no way a bug got in this creamer. Where do I put this? I'll just use a butter pat plate. Jeez, I was so worried. I was like, there's like this creamer looks like there's something in it, and it was just like a little spot of tea. like a little tea leaf. Alex says, I think it'd be nice and useful for them to convert the Queen Mary into a homeless housing. No, because it's a World Heritage Site. So, for instance, would you take some place as important as, let's say, Auschwitz, or a place as important as, I'm trying to think of like what other places like super important to the world. Gosh, it all escapes me. But like a place like Auschwitz, or a place like Eiffel Tower, or the Tower of London. Would you convert those into a homeless shelter? It's a World Heritage Site. It's supposed to be visited by people from around the world so they can appreciate their history. And the Queen Mary is one of those places. It's not a good idea to turn it into a homeless shelter. Because I have nothing against the homeless, but there are some people out there, and it's from any class, any income. There are some people out there who just don't care, and they will vandalize the place. And that even happens right now with some hotel guests that stay on the Queen Mary. You know, there's been people who vandalized the hotel and stolen things off of it. So even I'm 50-50 on it being a hotel. Because a lot of stuff has been lost that way. So you don't want to turn a World Heritage Site, into a homeless shelter. It's just not a good idea. Plus, it's not a good idea to live on a ship like an old ocean liner. It's one thing to live on a cruise ship. They're more built for that, but the Queen Mary was not built for permanent housing. Ivan asks, is that a balcony behind the blinds? Yes, it is a balcony. It looks out onto the building next door. There are some trees that block the view, but, it's not much of a view. Thank you, Glenn, for the compliment. Joe says, hi, Alex, do you get to see your family often? Well, my sister lives nearby. She and her husband live nearby. So I see them quite frequently. I saw them today. But my father, the rest of my family, they all live in Southern California. And I only see my father once or twice a year now. So, I have a feeling the next time I'm going to see him, the last time I saw him was, I don't remember if it was the end of Thanksgiving or the start of Thanksgiving, or it was either Thanksgiving or Christmas last year. I can't remember which one. But I have a feeling this year I won't see him till Thanksgiving or Christmas, which makes me and my sister really, really sad because we miss him. But it's not financially possible for me to visit him more than once. I haven't been to Southern California since I moved up here, so I haven't even been able to go down yet. And my father, he comes up and he spends a lot of money trying to get here, so it's a financial issue of trying to be able to visit people. And the rest of my family, they're always like, hey, when are you going to come down to Southern California and see us? And I'm like, I miss all of you guys, but I don't have the money, Because I would love to. Not only would I see my dad and the rest of my family if I went down there, I'd go to the other tourist attractions in the area and film those to bring you guys videos. Like, one place I really, really want to go is I want to drive down to San Diego, see the Hotel del Coronado, and film that to make a video out of that. I really want to do that, but I don't know. So, yeah, I don't get to see my family as often as I'd like. Tyler says, what era of movies do you like? I love classics. My favorite is White Christmas. What era of movies? You guys are not gonna believe this. As much as I love old stuff, as much as I love, band music from the 30s, and I love, classic 1930s Art Deco style and stuff like that, ironically, I don't like movies from those eras. I love movies from anywhere from the 70s to now, essentially. And I'm mostly into science fiction and stuff when it comes to movies. So, I think one of the oldest movies I like is going to have to be 2001: A Space Odyssey. And then before that, I'd say Cleopatra. And of course, Wizard of Oz, obviously. Everybody has to love Wizard of Oz. You can't take that out of the thing. But Wizard of Oz is also from 1939, so that's probably one of the oldest movies I like. There's been some movies that I kind of like. Like, I've seen The General by Buster Keaton. It's a silent film, but I enjoyed it. I don't see myself watching it all the time, but it was interesting. Yeah, I'm just not into old movies generally. I have friends that are always saying, hey, you know, let's watch an old movie. I'm like, I don't want to see that. This is a Tim Tam, by the way. Harrison says, okay, I'm always curious seeing who is able to do YouTube full time. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much. Harrison says, you should focus more on ship videos as those are more popular. Yeah, I agree. Because, you see, a lot of people on my channel, they started watching my channel for my Disney content. But, as I've been saying for the last 2 years, less and less people are watching my Disney content. I think 2020 was probably one of the worst years because I was putting out Disney content in 2020. Nobody was watching it. Nobody. It was just the core people of my channel who were watching it. The people who are fans of the videos. And that was essentially it. And it really hurt. It was like, oh my gosh, this is... In 2020, that was all I did. It was Disney videos. In 2021, I told myself, I said, things have to change. I said, because this channel's not going to survive if I'm only doing Disney videos, because no one's watching them. So, the only other thing I felt at the time, the only other thing I felt I would be really good at was Queen Mary videos. Because I was learning a lot about the ship, and I wanted to help, because obviously the Queen Mary, there was a real risk that it wouldn't reopen. So I wanted to get the word out there, teach people about this ship. And so that's why I started doing Queen Mary videos, and then I got really interested in other ocean liners. Now I'm doing all kinds of things. So I did history of the cable cars in San Francisco, history of San Francisco's hidden harbor. I've got more videos lined up, such as the Benson Hotel, the Spruce Goose, other ocean liner videos. I think on Tuesday I'm going to try to put out a video. It's an opinion video, not a history video, but an opinion video about SS Normandy. I got videos coming out on Johann von Oldenbarnevelt, the ship, also known as TSMS Laconia. All kinds of other stuff. So I've had to expand, and it's funny because then I get people who are only here for the Disney videos, and they get upset. They're like, why am I even subscribed here if you're not going to make them? And I go, I don't make them because nobody's watching them. It's like I said, I worked really hard on these last few Disney videos, totally enhancing them, making them better than they were in the past, and no one's watching them. And I could put all this effort and this time into making the videos even better, but then there's a risk no one will watch them, and I would have wasted all my time. So it's really upsetting, because I do love the history of Disneyland, but it's looking more and more like less and less people are going to watch those. So, let's see. Ivan says, How can I explain to a 7-year-old the difference between cruise ships and ocean liners? Ocean liners are stronger, and they're designed to take you from one place to another just for traveling. Cruise ships are weaker and slower, and they're just designed for fun. Let's Build says, could you do more Disney World vids? I really like this. Maybe do an Epcot or Animal Kingdom. No. I mean, you probably messaged that before you heard my monologue, but essentially, I don't think that if I did more videos, it would get any more popular. There's too many YouTubers out there doing Disney stuff, and I feel like the market is just oversaturated with Disney content, so no one's coming to my channel, of all places. They'd rather see some really good-looking young guy, you know, walk them around the parks and stuff and eat the various foods or something. I don't know. Let's see. Mateo says, I'm sure you already saw, but they discovered the wreck of Endurance. Yes, I've seen some videos on that. Pretty cool, actually. Yeah. It's really well preserved. Morning Mug with Mickey says, one of my favorite old movies, which actually has a tie to the Jungle Cruise, is the movie African Queen. I saw the African Queen. It was pretty enjoyable. I don't see myself watching that movie again anytime soon, but I did enjoy it. Ivan Joseph says, Alex, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you now, and how old were you when you discovered your love for ocean liners? So right now I'm 29, almost 30 in a couple months, so May is my birthday. How old was I when I first discovered ocean liners and really got into ocean liners? 28. So I've only really been into ocean liners in general for about a year. I haven't been into ocean liners since before 2021. 2020 is when I got into Queen Mary, so I wasn't even really into Queen Mary before 2020. So yeah, that's why I'm so new to ocean liners. So, you know, I'm still absorbing what everybody is saying, and I'm trying to reference things and understand things. So that's why when I make ocean liner videos, I have to do a ton of research to make sure that all the information is fresh, and there's plenty of references and lots of cross-referencing as well. Brad Vale says, how many Tim Tams have you gotten through? This will be the 4th one, so I don't eat like a ton of them. I only eat them for tea time. And I only have this kind of tea time on live streams. Like yesterday, I had tea at 4 p.m., but when I have tea at 4 p.m. by myself without doing a live stream, I have a mug. I don't even use this stuff. I don't use the china. I have a mug, and I brew some tea in that, and then maybe I'll have some digestives with it. But I don't eat all this stuff every day. I only eat this stuff on live streams, and I only use the good china on the live streams. Yeah, pretty much. Time for one of these sandwiches, my favorite sandwiches. Haley says, weird question. Do you think It's a Small World should have its own movie? No. Documentary? Maybe. Documentary promoting peace and goodwill like The Ride does? Yes. But movie? No. Tree Bark says, I agree that it's really frustrating when you put so much work into your videos and people simply aren't interested in them. Also, I really love the Titanic model behind you. Thank you. If you saw a closer look of it, it looks so destroyed. It's old. It's 10 years old now, and I need to redo it, so. Ivan Joseph says, is the Spruce Goose still the largest plane ever built? So, largest is a relative term. If you want to say wingspan, the Spruce Goose, the first airplane to ever exceed the Spruce Goose's wingspan was in 2019. It's the Strato launch. The Strato launch is the only airplane with a wider wingspan than the Spruce Goose. But in terms of largest, some people say largest meaning heaviest or, more square footage. There's plenty of planes, I think, that are still have more square footage or have more weight than the Spruce Goose. But the Spruce Goose does have the second largest wingspan of any plane ever built. And it wasn't exceeded until 2019. Let's see. Ivan says, thoughts on James Cameron's Titanic movie? Not the inaccuracy, but the movie in general. I think it's an enjoyable movie. I like watching it just for fun, and every time it brings me to tears. Just the thought, obviously there's inaccuracies in it today, but that's not a big issue for me because I understand the context. The context was, in 1997, we thought very differently about what happened with Titanic. But yeah, so in terms of story, it's not the best story ever written, but James Cameron makes fun movies to watch. And I think that's kind of what I think about Titanic. It's a fun movie, it's interesting, it's sad, and yeah, that kind of thing. Hello, David. David says, good to be here. Love your videos. It has been a while. Oh, okay. Have you been away from YouTube or something? Haley says, I think an It's a Small World documentary would be awesome since the attraction has gone through several visual and audio changes over the years. Yeah. Yeah. I was kind of thinking, though, more on the lines of a documentary about the ride's meaning, as opposed to a documentary about the ride's history. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think if there was a documentary about its history, I'd like to be the one to direct that one. Or at least to write the script for that one. Because back when I put out my It's a Small World video in 2019, I think that was the most detailed video there was about It's a Small World. Mateo says, there was room for Jack on the raft. It's funny, that's what they say, but I mean, there was, square footage-wise, there was, but it was dangerously unbalanced. So I hold to the fact that because one side was more buoyant than the other, he would have been in the water at some point anyway. Iron says, Back to the Future trilogy is my favorite movie series. I watch it over and over, know the whole script. Oh, wow. I love the Back to the Future movies. I don't know the whole script, but I love watching them. Pookie Smoochie says, do you believe in aliens? Yeah, I believe that there are aliens. I don't believe that we've been visited by them, though. I believe they probably exist on their planets and such, somewhere far away from here, but I don't think we've been visited by any. Yeah, there's construction going on nearby, and during the daytimes, it gets so loud here. It's really hard to record audio for my videos. And what's funny is my windows are double paned, so they're designed to reduce sound as well as insulate the house from the winter. But even with the sound insulating and weather insulating windows, I can still hear that construction site. Oh, it's just like it's not happening right now. They're it's they don't work on weekends, but still, it's difficult to record. But what am I going to do? Go out there and be like, be quiet? I can't do that. They're working. Jeez. I dropped my cookie. Nope. Oh. Maggie says, hi Alex, what's the table thing behind you? This is a railroad layout, so it's a model railroad layout that I've been working on. It's ON30 scale, so it's very niche scale that not many people work with. Yeah, so eventually when I return to working on it, you'll see videos of that on my second channel, Alex Abner. Link is in the description of the video. Sylvia says, what is the thoughts about The Legend of the Titanic movie, which is an Italian animated movie? I haven't seen it. Or have I? Animated? Oh, no. No, I haven't seen any anyway. I have heard of an animated Titanic movie, but from what I heard, the one that the person was showing me was Chinese, I think? I don't know. Pookie says, my dog's favorite word is cookie, and you just set her off when you dropped your cookie in the tea. Yeah. Bridevale says, can't wait to start seeing the videos for the train layout. Yeah, as soon as I'm able to have time for that. What I've got to do is I have to build up videos on my Alex Historian channel, because what good YouTubers do is they're usually several videos ahead. So they're already working on a video that they plan to release 2 months from then. And that's what I should be doing, but I'm usually always so far behind. Usually as soon as I finish a video, I publish it, because I need it. I need it published. I need to make the money from it. So, but I need to build up like 2 months worth of videos. And when I do that, I'll have the time to work on things like this. So I'm currently in the process of trying to catch up. I'm hoping to have a video done this weekend that'll be published on Tuesday. Then I'll immediately start work on a video that'll publish on Friday, I'm hoping. And then each time I publish a video, I should be a little bit further into the future with videos, and then I'll have time to work on stuff like this. Matthew says, what tea do you recommend for the afternoon times, and what food snacks go best with it? I mean, tea is really what you desire. I would recommend, if you're going to do an afternoon tea, you should do something British. So, you could always start with the basics and do English breakfast tea, or if you really like Earl Grey, you can just do that or something. there's a lot of different teas, but I'm not a tea expert yet. Like, there's people in the chat who could probably recommend better than I can, because there's a bunch of people who are always telling me, oh, have you tried this tea? Have you tried that tea? And I'm like, and they're all British teas, and I'm like, I have not tried that stuff yet. So I'm not the person to ask. But you could start with the basics like I did, English breakfast tea, and then buy some digestives, you know, and some Scottish shortbread, and start from there. These Tim Tams are really good, but boy, they are expensive. Bridevale says, what is the business with your railroad channel? What do you mean? What is the business with... What do you mean? Yeah, the Titanic video stuff. You know, the only movies I watch of Titanic, well, the only movie I watch of Titanic is the 1997 James Cameron movie. I've seen A Night to Remember. That's great, but I'm not into old movies, so I prefer the 1997 movie. Haley says, did you know there was an It's a Small World cartoon series? No, this is the first I'm hearing of it. Ivan says, Alex, why did the bike fall over? It was too tired. Hello, Evan. Ivan says, Alex, why is it that there are no subtitles for the last 15 minutes of Titanic? Because a good a good caption always goes down with the ship. Jeez, these jokes. Yeah. Time for more Scottish shortbread. Oh, Bridevale. Yeah, it's not active. Sarah says, do you have a P.O. box? We have a place near my work called British Bites. I could send you a care package. Unfortunately, I don't. I live a little bit far from my local post office. I don't have a car, so it would be really difficult for me to get there to get my P.O. box. People have recommended I install a P.O. box either on my doorstep or on my wall. I can't do either because my doorstep is right in front of the stairs. I can't block the stairs, and my wall, I'm not allowed to install stuff on the wall. So I don't have a way to have a P.O. box. So it's unfortunate because there are some people who want to send me stuff, and it sounds really cool, but I don't have a way. So even when I go grocery shopping, I do it all online. I don't have a way to get to the grocery store, so. And good afternoon to you, Sarah. Sylvia says, I have a private miniature railroad on my property, and it has stations across my house and property. And the model locomotive is a LNER Class A4 4468 Mallard steam locomotive, but it's black and red. Okay. Pretty cool. Ivan, with your jokes. Last one. I watched the documentary on how they built the hull of the Titanic last night. It was riveting. Oh my gosh. These jokes are killing me. They're so cheesy. Yeah, the next video that's going to be published, hopefully on Tuesday, is it's called Why I Hate SS Normandy. So it will be my own opinions, but it'll finally answer the reason why I never talk about SS Normandy, why I never plan to make a video about SS Normandy, and I'm hoping it's kind of funny. At least towards the end, it's kind of funny. But it's not meant to be taken too seriously. Matthew Conway says, if you ever have a sore throat, mix hot tea and honey. Yep, I know all about that. Sylvia says, the model locomotive pulls 80 plus cars. Wow, that's crazy. That's a lot of cars. Armis Queen Mary says, I'm late. That's okay. Still plan to be here for a while. How many people are watching? 32, that's about average. So, are there any big ocean liner fanatics out there who know a lot about ocean liners? Because I would love to know between 1947 and 1967, what other Atlantic ocean liners did Cunard have? I know they had Mauritania too, and I know they had Sylvania, but I don't know any others, and I'm really curious because I heard they had quite a bit of liners, and maybe they don't have to be Atlantic, but Atlantic area. So because I know some of them went to different countries besides United States and Britain. So if you know any, I would love to know what they are. Let's Build says, have you ever thought on doing planes or rockets? I'm not an airplane fanatic. And I'm not a rocket fanatic. Or any kind of aerospace kind of thing. I like stuff that sits here on, planet Earth. The only reason why I'm even making a video on the Spruce Goose is because it's just got a really interesting story. It's such a unique plane. So unique, and it's massive. It's just, and it's old, so yeah, I think that's the only reason why I'm even covering the Spruce Goose, but I don't plan to do any planes or stuff like that. It's not interesting to me. I don't know why, but I just like stuff that, I don't know, I can't even describe it. Just really beautiful trains and ocean liners. Stuff that you could, sleep in and enjoy for a couple of days. So, yeah. Linda says, good afternoon, Alex. Happy tea time. Thank you. Same to you. Linda also says, both my husband and I loved your Disneyland Railroad Simulator video. So fun. Maybe I'll get it. Yeah, it's really, really fun. And if you learn how to run the trains on that simulator, you'll know how to operate a real basic steam locomotive, just like the Disneyland Railroads have. Pretty neat. Martin says, which ocean liner sank, Olympic or Titanic? Titanic. Of course. Olympic was scrapped in 1935. El Nino says, hi Alex, do you know the story about Flight Helios 522. It's so interesting and sad. I don't know it. No. Pookie Swinchi says, was the MV Britannic retired? I thought that one was around that time period. MV Britannic, let's see. I think that one... I wonder if it was one of the ships that Cunard ended up getting rid of. Maybe they kept it around a little bit after Queen Mary. But I don't recall it after World War II. So either Cunard scrapped it before the war, or maybe it was a casualty of the war. I'm not really sure. Jeremy says, hello from Boston. Hello, Jeremy. Matthew says, I find the Normandy's exterior kind of boxy for a 1930s ocean liner, and some of her interiors, especially the dining room, look cramped to me. What are your thoughts on this? Oh, I agree, yeah. Normandy looks boxy. I would actually say, like, I would compare Normandy to being, like, pudgy. Like, it looks like a wide, pudgy liner. And it's funny, because if you look down on it straight down, it doesn't look that wide. But there's something about when you look at it from the side or from an angle, it looks like a wide ocean liner. It's just really weird looking. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that the bow is shorter than most ocean liners of its time. It had a slightly shorter bow. Maybe that makes the ship look wider than it really is. So, but yeah, it looks really pudgy to me. And then as for the interiors, like the dining room, it does look cramped. I mean, there are some interiors that feel larger to a certain extent, like the third class dining room on Normandy. If I remember it correctly, it had kind of like a raised ceiling inside the middle, so it had more headroom than like Queen Mary's third class dining room. But yeah, ultimately the first class dining room, because of its boiler exhausts going up the sides of the ship, it had a very narrow first class dining room, and they tried to make the dining room really long to make it appear larger. But yeah, if I have this information correctly, when the Queen Mary was launched, it had the largest dining room aboard any ship. So I think it was even the dining room on the first class dining room on the Queen Mary was even larger by square footage than Normandy's dining room. Whoa. El Nino says, yeah, Ivan, I was wondering how did they get the Spruce Goose inside the Evergreen Museum. Huh. What did Ivan say? What did that have to do with the Spruce Goose? Oh, yeah, Ivan did ask. Ivan asked, how exactly did they get the Spruce Goose in the Evergreen Museum? They built the museum around the Spruce Goose, essentially. So they did... So the museum... Because I've been there. The museum has this big roof. It's an A-frame. It's really large, like massive. I could illustrate this with the plane. Hold on. So when I went to the museum, I bought a toy of the Spruce Goose. So let me just... Yeah. So the Spruce Goose, when they shipped it in pieces, they shipped the two wings separately, the two smaller wings separately, the top of the fin separately, and the fuselage separately. No, I don't know the fancy names for all this stuff. But they shipped all that in separate pieces. And what they did was they kept the pieces in a temporary facility while they built the museum. The museum's got a giant A-frame, and what they did was they only had the roof on, and they backed the airplane into the museum, and then they built the glass walls on either side once it was sitting in there. So that was pretty cool. It's essentially kind of the same way that they built the dome in Long Beach when it was sitting in there. They built most of the dome, and then they had the sides of the dome, just the bottom sides of the dome, completely empty, and they had like a big crane that was holding up the top of the dome, and then they just slid the plane into the dome, and then they sealed up the walls around it. And then when they took the Spruce Goose out in 1992, they took the Spruce Goose apart, opened up a tiny hole in the dome, and then they moved the fuselage out and all the parts out of it. But yeah, so when they built the Evergreen Museum, they just built the A-frame roof, slid the airplane into it, and then built the glass walls on either side. Pretty neat. So, let's see. Mateo says, according to Wikipedia, the MV Britannic was scrapped in 1960. Really? Oh, that's interesting. Thomas Brooks says that too. MV Britannic was scrapped in 1960. Yeah, it was a White Star Liner, but after White Star Line was absorbed by Cunard, it became a Cunard White Star Liner, and then a Cunard Liner. Let's see. Haley says, what are your thoughts on Disney movies based off Disney theme park rides? Some of them are good, so, like the Pirates of the Caribbean series, the first 2 movies of the Pirates of the Caribbean series, loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it. 3rd movie, not so much. 4th movie, even less. 5th movie, no way. So, yeah, but I do like the first 2 Pirates of the Caribbean movies. I did not like the Haunted Mansion movie. It was funny, but it was too goofy. So I didn't like it. I can't think of any more movies that are based off Disney rides. It's not coming to my mind. Except for Jungle Cruise. I wouldn't watch Jungle Cruise. That's not my cup of tea. Fun fact, how you hold a cup of tea, you don't have your pinky out or anything, and you don't loop your finger through the loop here. What you do is you pinch with your index finger and your thumb. You pinch like that, and then the other fingers go in a kind of a curved line underneath to support. You're supporting the bottom of the handle like that, and that's how you hold a cup of tea. More tea. Still warm. That's good. Alright. Sugar. 1.5 demi-tasse spoons. Stir. There's like pieces of biscuit in my tea. Alright. Make sure no more tea leaves are in my cream. There we go. I've learned not to fill the whole creamer up because I will not use it all. And I could put it back in the fridge, but then it'd sit in the fridge for 2 more days before I used it. Well, technically I do have tea every day, so I could use it on something the next day. I don't know why. I prefer to just pour it fresh. So whatever I don't use, I end up just dumping into the sink, which is why I don't pour that much in there. I don't like to waste stuff. Even when I cut the crusts off my sandwiches, I leave them on the cutting board, and then usually like after the live stream I'll snack on them or something, because I don't like to waste anything. Okay. Alright, Sylvia says, Cunard had Caronia, Mauretania, Saxonia, which was later named Carmania. Really? I was wondering where Carmania came from because I was like, I heard there was a Carmania, and I'm like, oh, but you know what? There was a Carmania before that. There was a Carmania in 1901, 1902. So that's interesting. They reused Carmania as well for the Saxonia when they renamed it. That's interesting. Okay, and then there was Ivernia, later named Franconia. I'm guessing those are Russian ships. Correct me if I'm wrong. Saxonia and Ivernia were Russian, unless they renamed them just because they just, I don't know. Then there was Corinthia, Sylvania. Then there was QE2, Cunard Adventurer. I've never heard of that one. Cunard Adventurer. Cunard Ambassador. Those aren't ocean liners, are they? If they came after QE2, I would imagine they only built cruise ships after that. But again, correct me if I'm wrong. Cunard Adventurer, Cunard Ambassador, Cunard Countess, and Cunard Princess. That must be why when I watched the video about... I'm going to screenshot that so I can see all those ships. But that must be why when I watched the Queen Anne video the other day, because they posted a video like a day ago, like it was 7 minutes long about their new Queen Anne. They said this is the first time Cunard has had 4 ships since the since the late 1990s, and I'm like, they had 4 ships in the 1990s? Like, I wasn't aware of that. So yeah, that must be what those other ships are. Ivan says, Olympic and Titanic's lines are perfect. Very pleasing to look at. I used to agree on that. I used to think that they were very pleasing, but now when I look at Olympic and Titanic, they just look like shoe boxes. They're just so square and so, like, rectangular and without any definition. So to me, when I look at them now, they're still nice, of course, you know, but now they look boxy to me. And I prefer liners that look more curvy, like massive yachts, like the Mauretania, Lusitania, and Queen Mary, and kind of Queen Elizabeth, but Queen Elizabeth is... there's some things I don't like about Queen Elizabeth, but yeah. Mateo says, unfortunately got to head out pretty soon. Thanks for the stream. Alright, see you later. Of course, that was 7 minutes ago. Kevin says, Alex, only Cunard ships that come to mind per your query are Caronia, built in 1948, Carmania, later renamed Franconia, built in 1954-55, and the Corinthia, later called the Sylvania. What is with all of these name changes? Built in 1956-57. Sylvia says Sigafjord, later named Gripsholm. Oh, there's so much. Cunard Crown Jewel, Cunard Crown Dynasty, Royal Viking's son, later Seaborn son, QE, QV, QM2. Wow, there's so many ships. Matthew says, if there was one Cunard liner I would have preserved if I could, it would be the Aquitania. Which one other than the Queen Mary would you save? If I had to save one other than Queen Mary, I would save Mauretania. It's my second favorite ship. And Mauretania was a record holder for 19 years, and there were so many firsts with Mauretania. So I think it's important to the maritime history to preserve that one. Aquitania is important for, I think Aquitania was important for World War II, which is a big deal. But Mauretania was important for World War I, so, yeah. I don't know, I personally would choose the original Mauretania. RMS says, what happened to the SS Teutonic? I actually don't know what happened to it. Let's Build says, if the Titanic sunk how we think it did, Did the ropes thingy, I don't know what they're called, on top, did they work how it was intended? There's, I'm not sure which one you're asking about, because there's all kinds of different ropes and they all do different jobs. So I'm not sure what you're asking about. The first thing that comes to my mind when you say that is if you're asking if these cables at the very top that go from one mast to the other, if they held it together long enough. And that's not what their job was for. Their job, those were antenna wires. So it's hard to believe, but back then, antennas were wires. And if you wanted to get your telegraph messages out, then you needed really long antenna wires. So they had 4 of them that were strung from one mast to the other. And Titanic had one of the best ranges, actually the best range, next to Olympic, because of those long antenna wires. Those antenna wires weren't designed to keep the ship together, if that's what you're asking. They're just antennas, and they snapped real quick. So I can even see some of mine snapped. Got to replace those. All right, so RMS asks, what tea is it? Today is English breakfast tea. Sylvania says Cunard renamed ships because they did. That's a good answer. There's no need to go into detail when you just say because it happened. Alright, let's see. Who else is here? Bradvale says, I've got to leave early today. Partner just got home for lunch. Have a good evening, Alex, and everyone else. Have a good one. Alright, see ya, Bridevale. Armis Queen Mary says, why did the QE have 2 funnels? Because Queen Elizabeth only had 12 boilers. So she actually didn't need 3 funnels. 6 boilers went up one funnel, and 6 boilers went up the other funnel. So she didn't need 3 funnels. Queen Mary had twice as many. She had 24 boilers, and so she shared. Let's see. The center funnel had the most boilers connected to it. The center funnel had 4, 8, 12. So the center funnel had 12 boilers connected to it. So that was the busiest funnel. Pookie Smoochie says, whoa. Oh wait, no, hold on, I'll get to yours in a second. I have to go in order. Kevin says, Franconia and Sylvania were later sold to Black Sea Shipping Company. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Tyler says, what do you think of SS Rotterdam? Never heard of it. Again, I'm still new to ocean liners. I've only liked ocean liners for a year, so I'm still new to them. The RMS Lancastria was originally called the Tyrrhenia. Oh, I see, and they renamed it because it was hard to pronounce. I probably mispronounced it right there, too. Thomas says, Teutonic was scrapped in 1921. Oh, okay. Pookie Smoochie says, do you know why the ships transitioned to the cruiser stern as opposed to, let's say, the Titanic stern? Was it purely aesthetic, or did it offer some benefit? So it was both. So Titanic's stern was called a clipper stern. So the sterns are based off of, like, old sailing ships. So if you look at clippers, they had the bowl-shaped clipper stern. And then I think one of the last ocean liners, at least transatlantic ocean liners, that had a clipper stern was SS Normandy. Sorry, I don't know why I couldn't think of the name. SS Normandy, I think, was one of the last transatlantic liners built with a clipper stern. But they transitioned to the cruiser stern because there was a little bit of benefit. Cruiser sterns were slightly more hydrodynamic underwater, but the other thing too was it was mostly about looks. So cruiser sterns are usually given to warships of some kind, battleships. I don't even know what other. I'm not much of a naval war person, but a lot of warships, even to this day, are given cruiser sterns, and so it was thought that by giving ocean liners cruiser sterns, they would look more powerful and mighty, and so that was part of the reason. And then, of course, with a cruiser stern, you get more square footage. So you might notice on Queen Mary, you have 4 levels within her cruiser stern. On Titanic, there was like 1 level, or maybe 2 levels if you count the steering gear. But Titanic had like 2 levels in her clipper stern. So she could have had a 3rd one if she didn't have a clipper stern. But so it was about a bunch of things, but mainly about looks. And I personally prefer cruiser sterns. I think they look more graceful. Some people think they look weird, and I mean that's to each their own. But I think clipper sterns look weird. It looks like the end of Titanic. Is like a black toilet, and that is where the poop deck is. So who knows? But I think like the end of Titanic looks like a toilet. So I prefer the cruiser stern. Let's see. Norwegian American Line says, "What do you think of the SS Great Eastern?" It was massive, and it's interesting. I don't know much about it. I haven't done too much research on it. Martin says, "No iceberg. The Olympic was scuttled in 1912. Insurance fraud. Oh, it's one of those. I hate conspiracy theories. They're extremely unfounded. I hate conspiracy theories. Let's Build says, yeah, that's what I was talking about, was to hold those to help the ship not snap. Yeah, no, they're not designed to hold the ship together. They're just antenna wires. Pixelated says, a switch theory believer has entered the chat. I hate the switch theory. It's completely unfounded. Norwegian American Line says, SS Rotterdam is an ocean liner in a hotel state like Queen Mary, just in a lot better shape. Okay. Wait, isn't SS Rotterdam actually a working cruise ship at the moment? Alright, so while you guys send me more messages, I'm going to check a thing real quick, because... So I will be ending the live stream very soon, because it seems like it's very slow today. I mean, it says we have 33 viewers, which is usually the amount that I have, but only a few people are messaging. And Let's Build has got to leave, so I'll see you later, Let's Build. Next tea time, I'm going to schedule for Tuesday. I know I usually do them Sundays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, but tomorrow is my sister's birthday. And I've actually got, after this live stream, I've got to start making her cake. I'm making, so I went to culinary school to learn how to cook and how to make bread. But part of my what I paid for in my education was also to learn how to make pastries. So I know how to make fancy cakes and I offered to make my sister a fancy cake for her birthday for tomorrow. So I've actually got to start making that tonight, and then tomorrow I'll finish off decorating it before I take it to her. So yeah, I got a lot of stuff to do. Norwegian American Line says there's a new MS Rotterdam and an old SS Rotterdam docked. Oh, okay. Matthew says, I've been studying ocean liners for about 10 years. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. All right, I will. Sir Shipbuilder says, I've been trying to contact you about your car's extended warranty. So then he says, Alex, did you know that the HMHS Britannic antenna broke, so she couldn't receive messages, could only send messages like SOS? Yep, I knew that. Linda says, oh, lucky sister getting your cake. Enjoy your time with family. Thank you. Oh, Haley's leaving. All right, see you later, Haley. Armis Queen Mary says, did you see my other comments? Hold on. Yeah, your last comments were, who is Sylvania and what happened to Armis Majestic, but other people answered for you. Sylvania was a Cunard ship. Armis Majestic was a White Star Line ship. Norwegian American Line says, I recommend reading about MS Oslofjord, or Oslofjord. She was a huge ocean liner for the Norwegian American Line at close to 600 feet that was lost during World War II, sadly. Okay. Oh, jeez. Alright, so anyway, I'm gonna bring this thing to a close because I do have to get working. And then I'll finish these sandwiches after the live stream. S. Karthik says, what if a world war broke out and they use Queen Mary again during the war like they used in World War II? Again, I don't want any war to break out. I thought about that too. I thought, what if there was a World War III? Not that I want one to happen, but I said, what if there was a World War III and they were short on ships and they really needed them? I thought, would they ever consider refurbishing Queen Mary to use during war if they were desperate enough? And I thought, how desperate would the U.S. have to be? And I really thought about it, and if you want to make Queen Mary sail again, it will cost about $500 million. That's not like refreshing her artwork, because believe me, it will cost $500 million to get the ship looking like she's brand new again as a hotel. But we're talking about other expenses now. If you want to reinstall engines and stuff like that, and reinforce her so that way she can sail once, because believe me, she won't be able to sail anymore because she still needs structural reinforcement due to the fact that she's riveted and she's 90 years old almost. So I thought about it. I'm like, it would cost at least $500 million to make the Queen Mary capable of sailing the ocean again, even during war as a troop ship. And I thought the U.S. would rather use that money and build a much cheaper troop ship than Queen Mary. Even if they were short on steel, I think they would still try to build something made of wood, honestly, than to refurbish Queen Mary. So it's an interesting thought. Like, I remember when the pandemic broke out, there was this idea that, hey, we might use the Queen Mary as a temporary hospital for people with COVID. And I thought, wow, that's so cool, you know, like if they do that, that means that even in her retirement, Queen Mary would be helping people like she always has in her service. And it was an interesting thought, but always these thoughts are impractical. The ship is just too old, and it just wouldn't work. So yeah, that is kind of sad. But anyway, oh, but you know what I think they would use? I think the British would turn Queen Mary 2, the second one, into a troop ship. I definitely think so. It's an ocean liner. It's built for going fast. It's tough. It's hardy. It can sail anywhere in the world. I think they would use Queen Mary 2 as a troop ship. Alright, that's my last words on it, you guys. I'm leaving. I will see you guys on Tuesday for the next live stream. Keep an eye out for more videos. I'm posting, you know, several videos a week, whether it's live streams or history videos or just entertainment. Just keep an eye out for it. I have a feeling that YouTube hasn't been putting out notifications, so just keep an eye out for my videos and stuff like that. And then, of course, if you want to support my channel, you can look at the links below. I have a Patreon and a YouTube membership, and you can talk to me on my Discord server once you sign up for those things. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.